In today's episode of the Elm Hill City Zoo, we will build a new and improved habitat for the red pandas. They are one of my favorite animals and I really wanted to give them a much better enclosure compared to the one that they already had. So for the first time ever in the Elm Hill City Zoo, we will actually create some overpasses for the animals. I really hope you guys will enjoy today's episode. This might be one of my favorite enclosures in the entire zoo. Hello guys, this is Cesar Creates and welcome back to my channel. The Elm Hill City Zoo is back and today we will be building another new habitat for the animal that we already had in the zoo, the red panda. So a while ago I decided to improve the living conditions of some of the animals that we built for at the very beginning of this series a couple of years ago. So we built new habitats for animals like the giant otters, like the gray seal, the aardvark, and now it is time to build a new habitat for one of my favorite animals, the red panda. So the red panda habitat that we had already in the zoo was a part of the small mammal house, and that was quite an odd choice because it is not so common in real zoos to house the red panda inside of some animal building like a small mammal house or anything like that. They usually have their own dedicated habitats. They also don't require the indoor space because they can withstand colder temperatures. I mean, they live in Himalayan mountains and the areas surrounding the mountains. So normally if you'll go to the zoo in winter here in Europe, you will see them quite active. You will see them in the outside area of their enclosure, enjoying even the snow. So that's why I don't think that we needed this indoor area for it. And I couldn't wait to finally build a new habitat for them because I have seen during my zoo trip some amazing habitats for the red pandas and I wanted to build something nice for them. And let me just tell you that the habitat that I created for them that you'll see today has officially entered the list of my favorite habitats that we've ever built on the channel and added to the Elm Hill City Zoo. I just love it so much. If you've watched the intro, you probably noticed what is the big feature of this habitat. I'm talking here about the overpasses that the pandas will be able to use. They're all around their enclosure, connecting the different trees that are growing around their enclosure, and I'm sure that something like that would enrich the red pandas so much and will give them more space to explore their area that is surrounding the whole enclosure. They would be able to climb on trees, so I believe that this is very good for them. And I must say that this is only the second time that I've built something like this on my channel. We also had a little overpass in one of the enclosures in the Desert Adventure Park that was for the chimpanzees. In there they could use this overpass over the guest path to go from the outdoor enclosure to the indoor enclosure, and in here the red pandas not only will be able to go into the shelter using the overpasses, but also just go from one tree to another. And this is the first time that we are building something like this in the Elm Hill City Zoo. I'm sure that it will be a very big attraction of our park, a very big feature. I remembered when it was so popular among other like content creators who were obsessed with those overpasses when someone discovered that this is basically possible in the game. Everyone was building them for animals like tigers, bears, and I never really went for it. So right now I would just go crazy with them for our little red pandas. This was actually inspired by my visit this past summer in the Artist Zoo in Amsterdam. When I was there, they actually already moved their red pandas from the older enclosure to the new one. That was previously, I think, for the Japanese macaques, but the very cool thing about this enclosure was that the pandas had those overpasses made out of netting. that connected this habitat with the shelter, but also a lot of different trees that were both growing there, and also I think that there were some dead trees also added for them to basically climb from one tree to another over the heads of visitors, which was really cool. So this is where I took the idea for the overpasses from, but also this entire enclosure will be a bit inspired by the Copenhagen Zoo and their Red Panda enclosure. Copenhagen Zoo is known for their modern architecture, and the Red Panda habitat is also quite modern. It is basically almost a circle with this very interesting back wall that is kind of like sloping down, and this is something that you could see me build at the beginning. So I went for a perfect circle using the matte pillar technique. Then I divided the whole circle into two parts. The part in the back is for this back wall. I kind of eyeballed the shape of it, I mean this sloping down thing. So I am very glad that this is actually a very smooth like slope or shape or anything, because I was just doing it by hand. And I lowered the front part of the circle and I added the glass panels in there for the guests to basically be able to observe our red pandas. Then I added some hills and different elevations to this habitat. The red pandas, they live in the mountains and the hilly parts of Asia. And also I forgot to tell you where we are actually building this habitat. So we have this little section in our zoo called the Mountains of Asia. And this makes sense to add the new red panda enclosure in here. So the pandas will be just moved from the small mammal house into the mountains of Asia. We still have, I think, only two animals remaining in the small mammal house, the koala and the pangolins. I will try to build something else for them and then get rid of the small mammal house. I hope that I'll be able to do that before Planet Zoo 2 will be released. But what I really want to do is actually finish this section, the mountains of Asia. So we still have, I think, 4 animals that I want to add in here. So I cannot wait for that because those are some of my favorites. After the terraforming part, it was time to add some different rocks to this habitat. And a lot of plants. So this is one of the animals that I can go a bit more crazy with plants. So I really like to build for animals like this. The pandas would basically eat only the bamboo provided by the zookeepers. So I think that they won't bother other plants that much. So we could add some more to it. But before we'll move on to the rest of the video, we have very exciting news in the Elm Hill City Zoo because we have a new sponsor. So huge thanks to Koala Kova, who surprisingly decided to sponsor the koala habitat. We actually have 2 koala habitats in the zoo, the indoor and the outdoor ones that are not connected, so your plaques will be on the 2 habitats. Thank you so much, this means so much to me and to the Elm Hill City Zoo. And if any of you guys would like to see your name and your plaque on any of the enclosures in the Elm Hill City Zoo, all you need to do is become a member of my channel with the join button down below and let me know down in the comments what habitat you would like to sponsor. So thank you so much Koala Kova once again, and also big thanks to all the other sponsors who are still supporting our animals in the Elm Hill City Zoo. This means so much to me. Thank you guys. But let's go back to this speed build. I'm doing something really cool now. So we will create some climbing frames for the animals, but also create my own custom like little hats for them. This is very typical for the red panda habitats that I saw in many zoos. They often have some different little hats or any other baskets or anything where they can hide and sleep. This one that I've created for them in here is slightly inspired by the Central Park Zoo and their red panda habitats. And I will also create some climbing frames using some bark wood pieces and also the bamboo to, of course, make it on theme. Now that I think about it, there's another thing that I wanted to thank you guys for. So basically, we have reached 55,000 subscribers here on the channel. So thank you guys so much. This means so much to me. I can't believe that it's already 55,000. Like, wow. If you guys are not subscribed yet, please consider to do so. It really means so much to me and really helps the channel to grow, to be recommended to other people, and just, you know, motivates me to work on those habitats and upload more videos. And I also wanted to thank you guys for the amazing response to my ranking of all the animals in Planet Zoo. I was a bit nervous to upload this video for some reason. I thought that many people won't agree with me, but a lot of you actually did, and a lot of you, I think, liked this video. So thank you guys so much. This really means the world to me, especially that it took me so long to edit that video. So I'm so grateful for all the responses, all the likes and everything that happened to this video. We have been talking a lot about things that I would like to see in Planet Zoo 2 lately, and now that I'm thinking about it, I would actually love to have something like those huts that I created that would be actually functional. So it could work like a shelter for the animals. You could place something like this in your habitat and they would just go in and hide in there and sleep in there. I think we had something like this in Zoo Tycoon 2, like this elevated little hut. I think that the Tifa was able to sleep on this. I think that the lemurs could use it. And yeah, the animal just simply went to it, like did a little climbing animation, went inside and just slept in there. And that would be just perfect for the Red Pandas. So please, Frontier, if you are listening, I think a lot of people would love that. So as you guys can see right now, I am building the overpasses. So I decided to go for my inspiration from the artist zoo and use the netting, but I also incorporated the normal like climbing log to help the animals navigate this whole structure of those overpasses. I'm glad that I did, because they could step on this mesh. But somehow when I added, of course I did some tests before doing this, because I'm not experienced in making overpasses like this. And the overpass with the climbing log just worked so much better. I must say that I was so positively surprised when I actually finished this entire habitat. I've just, you know, bought the red pandas from the market, and I just brought them to the enclosure, and suddenly when I went to their traversable area map to check it, they could use the entire enclosure and they could use the overpasses, and everything was working just perfectly. So this was just like a 10 out of 10 habitat for me, because you know, I didn't have to adjust anything and it just worked. And it looks so cool when they use those overpasses. You will see that a lot in the cinematic shots by the end of this video, because I made sure to, you know, record them from every angle, because I am so happy with how it works. It looks so amazing, and also you can see those overpasses from quite a distance, because I made sure that they will be quite high. You know, we need to prevent escapes, and if the animals will feel that it is high and it is you know, dangerous for them to actually jump down from it to the ground, because they could harm themselves, they wouldn't try it. So I made sure that those overpasses will be, you know, just high. But that is not the only like way of preventing the animals from escaping. I also added those metal like tree guards, or metal, I don't know how to even call this, but those protections on the trees that would also stop the animals from climbing down. So if they would already use the overpass and go from one tree to another, they would be just able to, you know, climb down and go somewhere. Because I know that red pandas are famous for escaping. Actually, even in my local zoo, it was like last year or something, one of the pandas just disappeared from the enclosure, and they don't know how she did it. She did that, but she was somewhere They found her, I think, 2 days later on a tree somewhere in the zoo. So the red panda basically did some sightseeing and yeah, returned safely to its enclosure, but we needed to make sure that they won't be escaping. I'm sure that this thing will be a big attraction in our zoo. Like, I would love to see it myself. This whole red panda area became so much bigger because of the overpasses. They are quite long. There's also quite a lot of trees that they are connecting. So for the red pandas, I think that this would be a little paradise. I also made sure to hide a bigger platform with a water pipe in one of the trees. You cannot basically see it, but there's a water at this ugly water pipe in the tree, and this just encourages the red panda to use them more. So they are basically all the time using those overpasses. I had to actually manually bring them back to the enclosure to record some cinematic shots with they're actually using the enclosure, because they are all the time somewhere in the trees or just using those bridges from one tree to another, or just going into their shelter. But this was basically what I wanted, so I was so happy to see that. Okay guys, this is all when it comes to the speed build part of this video. Make sure to tune into the cinematic shots in a second, because I didn't show you how I made the entire shelter for them, and you will be able to see the shelter in the cinematic shots, as well as the whole surrounding area of this enclosure and the red pandas using their overpasses. See you there! The new enclosure for the red pandas is finally finished. I really enjoy building those new versions of the enclosures in our zoo, because this really shows me how much I was able to improve my building skills in this game. As I told you, I think twice already in this video, this enclosure might be one of my favorites in the entire zoo without any doubt. I just love how it looks, the whole surrounding area, the overpasses, they just work the way I wanted them to work, and I think that this enclosure really suits to our little area that we have in the zoo called the Mountains of Asia. It is actually next to the marker exhibit, and if the marker will just stand in this one particular place, it looks so cool, because it gets so close to the red pandas, and this view is just amazing. So here we have our pandas actually using the overpasses, going from one tree to another. This was something that I just, imagined in my head, and it is so cool to actually see this in the game. If you guys don't know how to create something like this, you basically need to create the enclosure, create all the overpasses, and just make sure to surround everything, including the overpasses, the trees and everything, with the invisible barriers, so the game just counts this whole thing as one big enclosure, but the animals actually cannot go down and step on the ground outside of the enclosure that you've built. So yeah, this is kind of how it works. The enclosure itself is quite large. We have some rock formations. It is so cool that the pandas can actually go up there and climb on this little rock formation that I created for them. They also, of course, can use the entire climbing frames that I also added. I also created my own huts for them to sleep in. And we have some of those platforms where the keepers, I believe, would leave some food for them. So yeah, the enclosure looks so nice. I really like the wall in the back. It is also just the way I wanted it. And we also have the shelter. We can actually see our red panda exiting the shelter right now. But let's briefly see the interior. So they have this backstage area where they would spend the night, I believe. They also have some climbing frames in there. It is very tall because the entire building is very tall, but I really like it about this. The whole building, I wanted to make it inspired by a bit by Asian architecture, but without being too cliche Asian like pagoda or anything like that. So I just googled for some Japanese inspired architecture, and I found a very similar building to the one that I've built, and I also used some typical colors for the Japanese architecture and Asian architecture. So this red is very distinctive. I really love again how this habitat looks. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please consider consider to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ring the bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video like this. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and leave me a comment and tell me what you think about our new and improved red panda habitat. If you'd like to become a sponsor of one of the habitats in the Elm Hill City Zoo, you can do it by becoming a member of the channel with the join button down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!